What is up, guys? Welcome back to Backroad Apex. My name is Jordan, and today you're joining me from not any of my cars, but a friend of mine's car. This is a 2008 3.2 liter Audi A3. This belongs to a friend of mine who thankfully loaned me this car for the day to drive around and kind of get some good driving impressions with. We're heading to our local Cars and Coffee in Atlanta called Caffeine and Octane. If you're from Atlanta, you probably know all about that event. But if you're not from Atlanta, it is one of the biggest car shows in the Southeast. It's one of the biggest Cars and Coffee events that is out there. And it's where we go. You know, I go once every few months with usually one of my own cars for that. But today we're in this 3.2 liter A3. Now up ahead is my friend who owns this car. He's driving a 350Z today. And then one of my other friends has a 3.2 liter TT. So that's why I said TT a second ago, but I probably cut that out. We'll get that car on the channel pretty soon because I think it'll be really good to compare and contrast with this car to see the difference. Because, you know, the TT has a bit more sportier characteristics. So this is, of course, based on the Mark V platform. If you're a Volkswagen aficionado like myself, you would know all about that. If you don't know, the A3 and the Golf share a lot of similarities, a lot of parts, a lot of know-how, and they're extremely similar cars. The 3.2 liter in this car is identical to that of the Mark V Golf R32, which is one of my favorite cars of all time, conveniently enough. So I have a bit of a soft spot for these. These things are usually pretty fun. This car has 186,000 miles on it. And yeah, the 3.2 liter was a really cool engine choice for those with the A3s because, well, otherwise you got the 2 liter. And yeah, I mean, the specs of the A3 are pretty simple. You got 2 different drivetrain configurations, technically 3 if you include the optional transmissions. In the United States, you either got a 2.0 turbo front-wheel drive. You can get that with both the manual or the DQ250 DSG transmission, or you could get the 2.0T Quattro, which of course gave you all-wheel drive, but was paired exclusively to the DSG, and the 3.2 liter in this car, which is the same story. You only got Quattro with the DSG with it. You could not get a manual in one of these in the States, which is a huge shame and a huge bummer, but if you consider the fact that the Golf R32 was the same way, you know, it makes it feel a bit better. And this sun is absolutely beating right in my eyes, so I actually can't even tell how fast I'm going, and the others have surely left me behind. But okay, there we go, now I can see. The headroom in this car is a lot worse than my Mark 7, I will say, especially wearing the hat and having the POV camera on and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a little hunched over, which is a little interesting. Even with the seat all the way lowered down, I'm like hunched over trying to see in here. That sun visor barely did jack. I don't know. I'm hoping you guys can still see okay. But yeah, this car's pretty fun. I've had about an hour to kind of get used to this thing and learn its nuances and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, drive an early version of the DSG transmission versus the one that's in my Mark 7. You guys who have been, you know, you guys who are new to the channel probably know that I have a Mark 7 GTI. I probably don't know that I have a Mark 7 GTI. And so I'm pretty familiar with these earlier DSG transmissions and familiar with how they usually drive. This one, of course, being an earlier DSG, does give it some unique character and some unique twists. It is still a remarkably smooth transmission, which I love about it, is that it still has that smoothness of a DSG. It's not like the original DSG cars, which were, ironically enough, the Mark IV R32 in Europe and the Mark I TT 32 here in the States. But evidently, I'm gonna have to try to catch up to my guys here, so I may have to get some gas in this thing and see what she can do, because I don't want to be stuck behind NPC traffic. I genuinely cannot see with the sun right in my eyes. That is awful. So we do have a whole tank of ice in the back, so I can't really be going too crazy in the corners or anything. But luckily I know how to get there, so we should be okay. toe in a little bit. It's definitely got some torque, which I will give it some huge credit for versus the 2-liter cars. Because, you know, as someone, even with a hybrid turbo 2-liter like I have, this definitely has a lot more bottom end immediate torque that a 2-liter turbo 4 will not give you. Now, if you also are new to the channel, I also own a VR6 myself, except mine is a 2.8-liter car with a manual. So this is the most time I've spent in a DSG VR6, because my other experiences with VRs are pretty much manual. Actually, my only other experiences with VR6s are manual transmissions. The first VR6 I ever drove was a custom-built Mark 6 with a 3.6 swapped into it, the 3.6-liter VR6 with a manual and all-wheel drive and all that kind of stuff. It was really, really fun. And then, of course, my own car, which is a manual front-wheel drive 2.8-liter VR6 car. So having this and getting to experience the 3.2-liter with all-wheel drive, which is effectively an R32, which is my attainable dream car. Of course, I'm more of a Mark IV guy, so I prefer to have the manual and all that kind of stuff. Man, we got really split up. The paddles are nice. They feel pretty good, honestly, for being a, you know, 19-year-old car now, which hurts to say, because I remember when these and the Mark Vs were new and how, you know, super modern they felt, almost futuristic in some ways. They felt back when they were new, and then now you've got, you know, the fact that these cars are getting old. The fact that this is an almost 200,000 mile car kind of hurts my soul a little bit, because it just bewilders me, because this still feels like a fairly new car in my mind. Like I said, I remember when these were new. So it's a really cool experience. I've always really liked these cars. In fact, when I was actually looking to buy my own VR6 car, these were actually one of the first ones I considered. I was considering these. I was considering the Mark V R32s, but for me, I decided I wanted the manual more, which is what inevitably led me to getting a Mark IV with the 2.8-liter. Of course, I'm going to remedy that. I'm going to put a 3.2 in it at some point, but for now, the 2.8 will do just fine. But this definitely has a lot more gusto than my 2.8-liter in my car, so I will give it that. It is incredibly punchy. It's got a good bit of torque. It's definitely not the fastest thing in the world. I mean, these things made 250 horsepower when they were new, and again, considering it's a 19-year-old car with almost 190,000 miles, I can only imagine it's not making all 250 of those horsepowers anymore. But the car just feels great. It's punchy. The transmission is great. It's pretty fluid. This car does have a weird shudder when going into first if you're in regular drive mode, which of course I'm not dealing with because I'm driving it with the paddles. And I can put it into first gear long before it thinks about it. So whether that be some sort of weird calibration in the transmission, or if you're familiar with Mark V DSGs and know all about their very infamous mechatronic failure, I don't know for sure. I probably need to see if we can get a code scanner on this. I do have VCDS at my house, and scan this thing and see if we can decipher any sort of hidden little bugs in the transmission in this car, because I hate it for him, because he just bought this car not even maybe about 3 weeks ago. So he hasn't had this car very long. So it's bone stock. You know, that is, you know, it's a very raw experience. I think the only thing it has done to it is Bilstein shocks, and it is actually riding on those super rare BBS CHs that these cars sometimes came out of the factory with. So it's a really cool vibe having those wheels on this car, because I'm a big BBS guy. I love the CHs. It's actually the wheels that I've been tracing for my Mark 7. I've tried to buy these off of him to put on my Mark 7, but he also really likes them too, so I don't blame him one bit for wanting to keep them. And plus, I don't really have enough room in my house for another set of wheels. So, you know, all in all, this thing's been pretty fun. It makes good noise. Of course, I'm a VR6 fanboy, so I'm gonna say it makes good noise. The driving dynamics are pretty good. I do wish we were on a bit more of a twistier road so I can test out the cornering side of things, but once I get off this main road, I don't know where I'm at anymore. So I'm trying to just keep it with where I know where I'm at. But yeah, it's a really good riding car. I actually really enjoy this thing. It's smooth. You know, the headroom kind of sucks, but it's smooth and it drives really good. And it makes really good noise, and with the right parts, this thing could be a track weapon. I've actually seen people track these at Road Atlanta and the J-Zilla track group. So, and they do pretty well. So I can only imagine how it would drive with coilovers and 200 treadwear tires and all that kind of stuff. I bet it would be a bit of a riot. It don't make a lot of noise. This thing really does not make a whole lot of noise, but it makes just the fun ones. I figured going under that underpass, I'd at least give it a try and see what it would do, and it was not much. So like I said, this car is pretty much bone stock, so you won't get any of the fun Wookiee noises out of this thing yet. The guy that owns this car, one of my best friends, has already said he's fully intending on putting some sort of exhaust on this. He's between Miltech, Cobra, and Magnaflow on this car, so there will be an exhaust at some point. So probably down the line sometime when he's got a lot more done to this car, we'll do another video with it, and you know, we'll see what she can do then. Hopefully maybe in some twisties, because right now the twistiest road we have is this one, and as you can see, it's not all that twisty. So we're actually nearing the big Cars and Coffee area, maybe about to have to gun it to get through this light. And I made it. I don't enjoy having to blast through yellows, but I've already been held up enough this morning, so if I can still make it through, I will try to make it through. Because I got completely split up from my friend group, because they just took off. They don't wait around for me. They never have, and they never will. Anytime we ever get split up, that I just slow down, because I'm just like, at this point, I might as well just drive at my own pace instead of trying to match theirs and roll 90 miles an hour in a 50. So I will happily just slow down and enjoy the ride and all that kind of stuff once they take off on me and I can't keep up anymore. All right, so just to close this out and give you guys some final thoughts on this car, it is really fun. I think this thing has great potential, and I think that when my friend gets down to business on this car, he's going to be able to really tear into this thing and make it even better. It does have so much potential. The transmission is great. I think the gearing is about as perfect as it can get for a VR6 with an automatic. You know, the fact that it's a dual clutch makes it even better. Even if it's an early days DCT, it is still incredibly smooth and incredibly good on the shifting, and it's not jerky and gross like a lot of Econobox DCTs I'm looking at the Ford Fiesta tend to be. It's just great. And of course, as a VR6 fan, I think this is a great engine. It's so smooth. It makes such a good noise, even for being completely bone stock. I have a great time with this car. I've had a wonderful time with it. But since I'm about to pull up to Cars and Coffee, I want to focus on trying to make sure I can find a parking spot, because this notoriously gets overcrowded. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully soon we'll get my other friend's TT 3.2 liter on the channel, and we can compare and contrast this to the TT platform, which is a bit more aggressive in terms of being sporty. But thank you guys for watching Backroad Apex. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.